Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that way too, where you want to live in a lore,
Yeah,
you know. Um, yeah. I don't know, man.
just scares me. It's the same reason why I won't play World of Warcraft. Because did you ever see that episode of South Park?
Oh yeah,
That's what I fear I would have been if I'd ever started it. Like I just would have fused to a chair.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind it though, man. I don't know. Like that's one thing I want to do in my maybe my 30s
Hmm.
or just sometime where like I just spend a whole year and that's what I do is just do a long play of a big sim, whether it be World of Warcraft. There was one I was looking at like called Star Citizen.
Hmm.
It's like the biggest fucking Kickstarter project ever. It's got like $250 million pushing in and they keep raising more money. And it's like the most intricate. They even have a VR function now, dude, where it's basically a space game where you do whatever the fuck you want. You can make it so it is a fleet space game where you're a general or whatever in charge of all these fleets, and then you get to tell them where to go. So in that way, it can be like a god game. But you can also play a soldier or someone in that where you're piloting those fleets or like a ship. So then it can be a simulation game, or it could be a game where you play an actual person and you just fuck around, be a bounty hunter or whatever. And as far as I know, there are NPCs, but for the most part, it's populated by people, and it's insane. They got some big talent too. Like I think Mark Hamill is in it or some shit. Like they have a lot of star power with it just because of the money. It's
Nice.
nuts.
Now, have you ever read Ready Player One?
I want to say I read it before the movie came out.
Good,
Yeah.
because they were very, very different. But the guy who wrote that did a second book called Armada.
I haven't read that one.
That one is very close to what you just described.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like the biggest thing is this game that everyone plays, and it's like
Ah.
you can either just have a mech suit or be an infantry unit, and it's all drones, like from the standpoint that you're controlling a drone, or you can be like a fighter pilot.
Oh shit.
And it's that's all I'm gonna say, but it gets a little Last Starfighter from there, and
Okay.
it's in a really cool way.
Okay. That's one thing I have started to do more of this year is reading. Like especially just in like November, December, man. I was never really a reading guy, but this year I really wanted to do, some stuff that was uncomfortable. And I don't know why reading is uncomfortable. At least it was. It's tough to get tough to get into for me. Once I started though, like I started with Mass Effect, right? Just something. I think it helped to get in to something that I liked, and it was really good. It was really good.
When I get hooked in, it's just I've always been a reader. Like my dad, when I was a kid, like would throw my book in the fire if I took it on a camping trip. He's like, you're
Really?
supposed to be going and playing in the woods, like not reading. I'm just like, I've still done it since then. That was my rebelling at that point.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it. I
what
was
a-
always just playing Game Boy.
It was a toss up between the two.
Yeah.
What have you been reading this year?
Well, I did the first book of the whole Mass Effect trilogy thing. It's like a prequel to the first game, which is pretty dope. And then I started doing some Neil Gaiman stuff.
Nice.
I started with his short stories
Okay.
first. Dude, that guy can write. I can see why he's so popular.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the short stories, I've read about 8. And my favorite one is still like he hit it in his introduction. Like he talks about it in the beginning where, he doesn't really like doing introductions and he understands that a lot of people don't even read them. But for those who do, he put one of his favorite short stories in there. And it's called, I want to say, The Wedding Gift. And it's basically about him in real life wanting to write a story as a wedding gift to a couple he knew. And that's what the story's about. And it's beautiful, dude. But it got me. It was heart-wrenching. By the end, I was like, oh, no. It was crazy. And I was looking forward to more of that in the rest of the book. But not that the book is bad or these other short stories aren't good, but you can definitely tell when this guy is inspired or really wants to write versus I have to write. like anyone else, I feel, any writer or director or anything, they probably feel that way, where I guess one for them is one for me later,
Yeah, well, and when you're doing a compilation like that too, it's just like you're coming at this from so many different styles, like from one to the other. Like this, it's the great thing and the horrible thing about it. It's going to appeal to a lot of people, but some people are only going to like one, and the others not so much. And
Yeah.
like you got to make them different before the people who like bad stuff and don't like good stuff, they exist.
Yeah. No, for sure.